Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing a 13-piece brush set by MyDestiny. This is the Iris collection. And in here we get 5 face brushes and 8 eye brushes. The way that I like to review brush sets on my channel is where we go through each brush individually, and then I will be applying makeup using those brushes for those of you who would like to see how those brushes perform. So let's get started. So the first thing that I wanted to mention is that I pre-wash all my brushes prior to use. There was no shedding on those brushes. Those brushes are synthetic and they feel very nice and very soft to the touch. So we get 5 face brushes. This is the largest brush. And this brush is great for setting your face with a setting powder. The next brush is also big and fluffy, and you could also definitely use it to set your face, and it could also be used as a bronzer brush. The next brush is a blush brush. It's the same shape as the largest brush, just much smaller. Then we get a contour brush. Some people like to use it as a blush brush. It depends on your preferences. If you like to apply your blush with an angled brush, you could definitely use it for a blush, and the blush brush you could also use to set under your eyes. And the last face brush is a highlighter brush. And you could use this brush to set under your eyes as well. This is the 8 eye brushes. We get 1 blending brush. We get 4 shader brushes. The first one is large and fluffy, so you could use it to deposit the color into the crease, and you could use it on the lid as well. The next one is a smaller shader brush, so you would perfectly to deposit the shadow on the lid. And then we get 2 small shaders. One is a bit longer and one has shorter bristles. The one that has shorter bristles you could use for your bottom lashes, and the one that's a bit longer but not as wide you could use for any shimmer and glitter on your lid. Then we get a small pencil brush, and that pencil brush could be used to deepen your outer corner, under your lower lashes, however you like to use your pencil brushes. There is one in this set. Then we get a lip brush in here, and then we get an angled brush, and this is a brow brush, or you could use it as a liner brush. I will have all the information where I purchased that set, and I will talk more about it towards the end of the video. So let's start with the application. I zoomed you in a bit closer, and I'm going to start with the eyes. And the first step that I do is I use a toner to remove any excess oil from my lids. To prime my eyes, I'm going to be using NYX HD Concealer. I'm going to be using a sponge from Aliexpress that I really enjoy. It's by the company iMagic. Now using the largest shader, the fluffy one, I'm going to go into e.l.f. Shadow Brown and Liner Palette, and I'm going to set the eye primer with that first shade right here. This brush is very, very soft. Using the same brush, I'm going to be going into BH Cosmetics Bronze Paradise palette, and I'm going to be going into the bronzer, using it in my crease. Now using the pencil brush, I'm going back into the e.l.f. palette and I'm using the last two shades in my outer corner. Using the blending brush, I'm gonna blend it all together. I'm going to add some more just for a bit more depth. Now using a shader brush, using the BH palette, I'm going into this shade right here and applying it on my lid. This brush performed really good. And now I want to try this thinner brush that I said would be good with glitter and shimmer. And what I want to do, I want to go into the same shade using MAC Fix Plus and put some more of that shadow on top to see how it works. So using MAC Fix Plus. I'll do the same on the other eye. I love how small it is. So it's very easy to get into your inner corner. I really like this brush a lot. Now using the smallest shader, I'm going back into the e.l.f. palette and using that same first shade that I used to set my eyes, I'm gonna just reapply it under my brow bone. I'm going to apply an eyeliner and a mascara and I will be right back. I applied an eyeliner and a mascara and I applied foundation and a concealer. And now to set under my eyes and my face, I'll be using Marcel face powder. I'm going to use the highlighter brush to set under my eyes with a powder. Now going in with this large brush, I am going to set my whole face with powder. Now I'm going to apply mascara on my lower lashes and I will be using MAC Deluxe Sample Uptown Lash Mascara. Those little samples that you could get when you place an order on MAC's website. It works really well for the lower lashes. And now we're going to do the brows and I'm going to be using the angled brush. The truth is I don't really like the angled brushes from Brush Set for my eyebrows because usually they're softer and a bit wider than my Anastasia ones that I prefer. Some sets that I've used actually had a good one. We'll see how this one works. Another thing is I like when a brush has a spoolie on the other end. This way you don't have to reach for a spoolie separate and for a brush separate. You just have two in one. However, having said that, we're still going to see how this brush performs. So I'm just going to brush the hairs upwards with my Anastasia brush. And I'm going back into this e.l.f. palette. I really like the Shadow Brow and Liner palette from e.l.f. I'm not sure if it's still available. I have it for a while, but great matte shades that you could use in the crease, you could use for the brows, you could use in your outer corner, you could use to highlight the brow bone. Just a very nice palette. So I'm gonna be mixing those two shades and I'm gonna fill in my brows. going to use a brow gel. Okay, now that the brows are done, I will talk about this brush towards the end of the video. I'm going to use this large brush for a bronzer, and for a bronzer I'll be using Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzer. Usually apply a lot of bronzer in my cheek area. I like to leave that area mainly for blush. I'm not going to be sculpting today, so I will be using both of those brushes, the blush brush and the sculpting brush, to apply a blush so you could see how they perform. So I'm going into Tarte's Exposed Blush, and I'm using the angle brush first. You could see how nicely it applied the blush. Very nice and soft brush. Now going in with a blush brush. I'm going to be using e.l.f. Moonlight Pearl highlighter with the highlighting brush. Gives it a soft glow. I'm going to be applying a MAC Swirl lip liner. And for lipstick, I'm using MAC Hot Gossip, and I will be applying it with a brush just to show you how that lip brush performs. So as you see, it's a nice lip brush. It applied the lipstick really well. So I'm quickly gonna go over the brushes. First, we're gonna start with the eye brushes. The blending brush is not too large, which is great if you have smaller eyes. It's not too small, so you still get to blend everything out, and it feels soft. So this brush was nice. Now the largest shader brush is very soft and very fluffy, and I use it to apply my crease shade. This is a standard shader, and it worked really well to deposit the shadow onto the lid. Then I went in with that smaller brush and I applied Max Fix Plus, and it just gave us a bit more intensity. I love how it's so small that it's very easy to apply the shade onto your inner corner. The small shader could be used under the lower lashes. However, I didn't use it for that purpose. I used it to highlight under my brow bone. And then we had three smaller brushes. We had a pencil brush that I used to deposit the dark shade into my outer V. Then the lip brush that I used for my lipstick. If you don't use lip brushes for your lips, usually just makeup artists usually do that, you could use it to conceal anything on your face. You could do any detail work around your face with this brush as well. And then we had the brow brush. As I mentioned before I did my brows, that usually I like my Anastasia brushes because usually the brushes from the set are very soft. This one is not very soft, so it was easier to use than from some other sets. However, it's still different from my Anastasia brushes. You could see size-wise, and this one is much stiffer, and this one is a bit softer. It took for me a bit longer to do my brows, and they come out a bit thicker than I usually like them to be. But all in all, I did my brows. You could also use this as a liner brush, and that would work really great. Now for the face brushes. I use this brush to set all over my face. You could really set your whole face pretty fast because it is very large. It is soft and a very nice brush. The next powder brush is big and fluffy, and I used it to apply my bronzer. You could use it to set your face with a powder as well. Then I used a highlighter brush to set under my eyes. And then because the powder is translucent, you just dab it off and your brush is pretty clean, and I used it to apply the highlighter. So this is also a nice and soft brush. And then we have 2 more brushes left. We have a sculpting brush and a blush brush, but as I mentioned before, I wasn't sculpting my face today, so I used both of them for my blush just to show you how they would apply blush, and both brushes applied the blush really nice. And my final opinion about this set, it's very nice. You get 13 brushes. This brush set is from Aliexpress Chichodo store. I will leave all the information down below. It is about 17 Canadian dollars with about $5 shipping, a bit less so in US currency, and you could check out how much it is in your currency wherever you are. This is the Iris series brush set. If you were looking for a budget-friendly brush sets, you could check out Chichodo store. I did review on a few of their brush sets. The customer service is amazing. The shipping from AliExpress from that specific store is much faster than any other shipping I've ever received from AliExpress. If you have any questions, they get back to you right away. So I just enjoy dealing with a store that has a good customer service and a fast shipping from AliExpress. I hope this video was helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again in my next video. Bye everyone.